Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd share with you 10 books that have been really helping me in my midlife years, things that I have read over the last, probably since about turning 50, most of these books, but I do have a few that I have reread since turning 50 that were sitting on my bookshelf begging to be reread because I feel like the first time I read them, they were great, but now they really were even more applicable in my life. So the first book I am going to get started with is Atomic Habits from James Clear. And unfortunately, I don't have the jacket on this book. I tend to take them off over the years as I put them on my bookshelves. Yeah, I will try to find a link to everything and leave it below so you can find them. But this is a book that I read a while back and I wanted to revisit as I've started building my routines and stacking my routines, or what he calls habit stacking. It's an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And this has been so helpful and a great reminder to anyone about how to build habits kind of one small percentage at a time. So 1% of anything over time, if you continue doing it and doing 1% more and 1% more, really proves great results over time. And for me, his notion of habit stacking, which is something that I remember reading the first time but not really implementing, and now I have started implementing it. I began with kind of my morning meditation and writing in my journal, my gratitude journal, and then I added on to that doing yoga, and now I've added on to that drinking a lot of water and doing my morning pages, which I'll talk about soon. But yeah, all of these things have added up to habits that I just do now. It's not something I have to even think about. I have my morning routine, I have my nighttime routine, and they are all just habits that I've stacked on top of each other that I do without thinking about it. It's like brushing your teeth or flossing your teeth before you go to bed. I just do it. The next two books are from the same author, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, and the first one that I read is called The Galveston Diet. And as the name implies, this book does focus quite a bit on diet, but it also talks about living a healthy lifestyle, exercise, and it's really more, I would say, less about diet and more about nutrition, making sure you're getting all the right things into your body as you are going through this time period of your life in perimenopause and in your menopausal years, and getting exercise. Mary Claire Haver is a big proponent of being strong, not skinny, and building muscle to help prevent all kinds of things in your later years. So yeah, that book was really fundamental in kind of going through my perimenopausal years and into menopause. And I also started intermittent fasting, which she talks about in the book, which is basically, I do a 16-hour fast, and then I do an 8-hour window where I eat between 11 and 12 in the morning, and then I stop eating between 7 and 8 at night. And it has done wonders for me. I lost about 10 pounds initially, or over the first year, I would say. I think I started doing it when I turned 50, and I am now 53, and I am no longer losing weight, but I am maintaining my weight. And it was a really easy thing for me lifestyle-wise because I was never someone who enjoyed eating first thing in the morning. I always ate kind of a late breakfast anyway, and it really gives me a lot of energy when I'm working out in the morning and doing all of my sort of morning routines. And it gives me a lot of like clarity, because one of the big things that I don't think I mentioned with all of my symptoms in perimenopause was that I have been experiencing this terrible kind of brain fog, and I have trouble remembering things sometimes, and I got worried about myself and took a little test online to make sure I wasn't, having memory loss, but turns out it's just another one fun symptom of menopause. And yeah, I find that when I get off of my routine, I get a little bit slower in the brain. So anyway, that was the first book I read from Mary Claire Haver. And then the second book is one she launched, I think maybe last year. It's called The New Menopause. And this book gets into all of what was in the first book and more. It focuses less on the diet side of things and more on everything else, being strong, allowing yourself to rest, taking time to kind of focus on the things in your life that are important, which is basically nutrition, diet, exercise, all those things, but also allowing yourself, cutting yourself some slack, because this is a time of your life when your body is going through so many changes, and it's not something that for everyone is just smooth sailing. And for me, it was definitely not. And I've sort of come out the other side now where I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm fully menopausal, as they say, but yeah, I just feel better overall. I'm getting sleep. I'm doing things to treat my body better. I have my morning routine and my nighttime routines that really, really help keep me kind of feeling my best. And I could not recommend either one of these books enough if you are someone in your perimenopause or menopausal years. The next two books I want to talk about are by two different authors, but kind of focused around the same thing, minimalism. And while I am not a minimalist, I have benefited greatly from reading a lot about how to kind of curate my life, curate my home, curate my closet, all of those kind of things, how to focus on what matters in life and declutter the rest. And so I have a few books here that really kind of helped me with this process the first time I read them. And now when we moved to Florida, I kind of reread them to kind of help me get myself into that mindset again. So this is The Curated Closet by Anushka Rees, and I've talked about this book before on my channel. This really just walks you through a whole process, and there's a workbook that I actually have as well that I haven't actually gone through and done everything, but I think I am going to at some point. And it really kind of just walks you through the process of curating a closet filled with things you love and wear and use, and taking that approach to your entire home, not just, you know, your closet like I'm standing in, but curating your life. The next book I have here is called Minimalista by Shira Gill. This is your step-to-step guide to a better home, wardrobe, and life. So very similar, but written from the perspective more of kind of home organization. Shira is a home organization expert, and I have been following her on her social channels, and I get a lot of inspiration from just watching how she is living her life. And I think there is definitely a lot of space in between being a minimalist and being a maximalist. There's a huge sort of range between those two, and I know that I am someone who at one point would have considered myself a maximalist, and while I am no longer a maximalist and not a minimalist, I have definitely decluttered so much from my home, from my life, and these books have really helped me to do that. The next two books on my list are from the same author, Courtney Carver, and the first book I read by her, I read many years ago, and I recently reread. It's called Soulful Simplicity. And this is a book about how to live with less, how living with less can lead to so much more. And what I loved about this book is Courtney kind of tells her story of being kind of a workaholic, working in a field very similar to my own, where she one day got a diagnosis that forced her to kind of look at everything in her life a little bit differently. And she kind of slowed down a lot and started to really practice mindfulness and simplicity. And this book kind of walks you through how, you know, living a more simple life can actually have so many great benefits in your life. And since this year, my word of the year is simplicity, I decided to reread the book, and it has inspired me yet again to take another look at my life and what it is that really lights me up and inspires me and how I want to live. And yeah, that has been really helpful. And her new book that came out this year is called Gentle, Rest More, Stress Less, and Live the Life You Actually Want. And this book is exactly what it says. It's all about, you know, not being afraid to rest. I think we live in a society where it's, you know, praised to be busy all the time, and really that doesn't lead to anything except more stress and, you know, sickness, illness, all kinds of things that can come from too much stress in your life. And so slowing down and allowing yourself some time to rest and taking things really slowly in your life and appreciating the things in your life. I know one of the things that I wasn't doing, which I'm doing now after kind of reading these books that kind of focus around the same kind of simple life approach or simple living approach, I have been actually trying to eat my meals without being on my phone, on my computer, or watching something on TV. I try to kind of get outside on my balcony or not be kind of bothered by some type of device. And I also really enjoy kind of just sitting in my home and looking outside and watching the birds, whatever it is. It really kind of brings you back into the present, and you enjoy your meals more. I know that's how they do it in Europe, and that's how I feel like we should do it everywhere, to really enjoy your food, really enjoy the process of slowing down and giving yourself a break and letting your body digest. So yeah, I have really enjoyed that book as well. Definitely another one that I would recommend. And the last 3 books I have here are all about creative living, from 2 different authors. The first one is from Elizabeth Gilbert, and this is Big Magic. And this is a book that kind of inspired me quite a while back when I was working full-time in corporate communications and had decided to make a change and go into consulting. I read this book and it really talks about creative living, but it got me sort of out of a place where I was working a 9-to-5 job that wasn't really 9-to-5, and I had no time for anything else in my life, and I couldn't focus on anything creative. And I've always been someone who enjoys creative work and enjoys working with creative people, and I enjoy being friends with creative people. I'm just drawn to creativity, and I read this book and it started me, it kind of pushed me over the edge to take the leap, go into consulting. I was working more on like an hourly basis or on a project basis, and not spending as much time working. So I had a little bit more time, which is how I started my YouTube channel and started really having more kind of work-life balance. But I reread this recently because I have been thinking about doing more creative writing and some other endeavors that I want to take on, and this really inspired me to do it. It really kind of talks to this fear that I think a lot of writers in particular have inside of them, that, you know, what if I'm not good? What if nobody reads it? What if, and how to kind of get past that and, you know, and talk to yourself in a kinder way. So yeah, that was a great book. And that book actually led me to the next book, which is from Julia Cameron, and this is called The Artist's Way. It's a course in discovering and recovering your creative self, and I was all about this. It's also a spiritual path to higher creativity. So there is some talk of spirituality in her books, but yeah, if you're not someone who's bothered by that, it's fine. But I feel like it is a very good book in that it puts you back in touch with the inner artist who may have gotten away for numerous reasons in your life. I know for myself, when I was a child, I was always told I had a vivid imagination. I was always making up stories, I was doing plays, I was doing all kinds of acting out in my home life to any adults who would listen. And I was always I read a lot. I would write stories. I did a lot of painting. All of those things kind of went by the wayside as I got older. And for a lot of different reasons, I just wanted to gain my independence and get out on my own and make money and support myself. And I made the more practical choice to go to a business school and get a degree in communications so that I could work in a kind of corporate environment, 9-to-5 job, and that is the path I took. And it's not to say that that path was wrong. I met my husband at my college. There were a lot of things that went right. I, for 30 years, was able to work and make a really good living at what I do, but I never really found the joy and in the creative side of it that I think I may have found if I had maybe taken a different path. So that kind of leads me to the second book. And the second book is called It's Never Too Late to Begin Again. And this is the book that I just read cover to cover. And both of these books are broken down into 12 chapters that you were supposed to consume week by week and do all the exercises and things that are in the books. But I chose to read them both. And now I'm actually, I found this book to be even more helpful because it's all about discovering creativity and meaning at midlife and beyond, which is exactly where I'm at. So yeah, it's a 12-week process where every single day you, first thing in the morning, sit down and write out longhand kind of a stream of consciousness, what she calls morning pages, just anything that's in your head. It kind of gets it out of your head and clears your mind. And out of that, out of what you are writing down, sometimes things will come up, and they have for me. That leads you to the second step, which is the artist date. And so she basically says that you should take yourself out with no one else once a week for an hour or two and just do something creative, whatever that means to you. And so for myself, my first artist date, I took myself to the library and got my library card, because that is something that I really enjoyed as a child that I have gotten away from doing. Since we moved to Florida, I never got my library card and used the library. And in doing that, not only did I tap into all of these activities and things that go on at my local library that I was unaware of and am now participating in, including a book club, but also I kind of rediscovered some of the books that I had read in my childhood and authors I had read in my childhood, including Judy Blume, who was such a huge inspiration to me as a child. I learned so much reading her books as I was coming into kind of my young, not even young adult years. I don't even know what that section of the library was called. I think it was called adolescent years. I don't have children, so I'm never in the children's section at the library anymore. But it was really kind of fun rereading some of these books that I loved so much. One of them in particular was called Otherwise Known as Sheila the Great. And I remember reading that book and relating to it so much as an only child who grew up afraid of everything. And I was a late swimmer. I was late to do so many things. And then after my mom died, I kind of shifted into Miss Independent and like did all the things. So it's kind of strange how some things sort of, I always feel like in life, certain things happen for a reason. And for me, what I have taken from pain and suffering has been kind of this independent streak of my life. And why am I going down this path? I don't know. But basically, these books have been really great. And in the second book, It's Never Too Late to Begin Again, she also adds on a few additional exercises. One is going out and taking solo walks where you are just without your phone and without any kind of distractions, and you are just out in nature, walking and taking it all in and being present. And I've been doing that pretty much daily for the last few months, and I really enjoy that part of my day. And then the other thing is writing a memoir or memoir pages, which is basically this book is broken down into the 12 sections week by week. And each week there is an exercise for your memoir where she kind of guides you with some questions to think about. And you break down your life into however old you are divided by 12. And that period of time, so for me, that would be, it doesn't break out evenly, but it would be a 4 point something. So my first week focused on ages 1 through 4 and followed the questions and kind of wrote down, according to her prompts, the things that I remember about my life at that point. And then the next week I did 5 through 8, et cetera, et cetera. And it has been really inspiring, been really helpful in kind of tapping into some of the things that light me up, why they light me up and how they light me up. And I'm kind of getting myself out of my day-to-day and rediscovering a lot about myself that I had kind of forgotten about or had buried or had just not focused on for so long in my life. And another thing I didn't focus on so long in my life, as I'm sort of wrapping up this video, was reading. I was a huge reader as a child. I was big into Nancy Drew books. Later in life, I got into like young adult and a lot of kind of chick lit. And then I kind of fell out of reading for a long time. And I started to realize why, and that really is that I was working too much and I didn't have, or I wasn't making the time to do it. and I was so busy kind of living my life that I wasn't kind of experiencing one of the things that brings me the most joy. So reading has definitely become something that I know now for the rest of my life I will do pretty regularly. I probably read more than I should. I spend too much time at home. I am definitely a homebody, but I really enjoy what I get out of reading, and I really enjoy writing, and I am thinking about writing a book at some point. And all of these books that I've talked about have kind of gotten me into the mindset to be able not only to kind of declutter the things that didn't matter into my life and focus on what does, but also to get me into a healthier place, both mind, body, and spirit wise. And I am really just grateful for everything, for all of these authors, for all of these books, and to be at the point I am at in my life where I feel like I'm finally slowing down and stopping to smell the roses, and it is a really good time. So I hope you will join me here. I hope this was helpful. I will do my best to leave links to all of the books I talked about so you can go out and find them. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Have a great day.